cup of shit. I'm skipping that mess. I don't want to fucking deal with it. Caviar. Even though it's fucking gross. I'm not falling for your shit, goddammit. Which, it's fucked because, like, he put the caviar thing there to intentionally make us go in that direction. But I'm ignoring that for the sake of not having to deal with it. Since it's a fancy restaurant, we might as well try the fanciest thing they got, right? You mean that weird bubbly stuff? Just a little bit of the bubbly. It's caviar. It's like the fanciest thing among fancy things. Sissel poked the container of caviar at the buffet table suspiciously. It looks kind of weird, honestly. Might as well try some new things while we're here. Sissel and I grimaced and simultaneously put our spoons down, most of our food remaining untouched. This, tastes like stale jizz. I poked the caviar with my spoon, and the little bubbles burst with a satisfying pop. Sissel flushed pink. How do you know what that tastes like? I gave him a wink. The red on Sissel's face spread all the way up to his ears. I can give you a demonstration later tonight if you like. You should probably just give him more food first. You know, real food, since you don't like this stuff and whatnot. Yeah, it does taste pretty bad. Sissel's ears drooped a little. Yeah, I probably should have asked what kind of food you liked before bringing you on a date. Hey now! Just because caviar tastes like wet socks doesn't mean I'm not having a good time. They're fun to squish, like bubble wrap. Another ball of caviar burst under my spoon with a pop. A restaurant patron sitting behind us suddenly scoffed loudly. I glanced at her tiredly. Her oversized hat and puffy dress loomed over us threateningly, like an overinflated pufferfish caught in a net of seaweed. In hindsight, this was a rather fitting sight at very illegal seafoods. Of course an uncouth peasant in rags wouldn't recognize true finery when they see it. Sorry, we didn't mean any offense. Why did you even come to this establishment if it's so obviously out of your league? Sissel's face flushed and he sank deeper into his seat, suddenly fascinated by the candles. Oh, that's so much more befitting behavior for you. Yo, pufferfish lady! Did you know it costs $0 to shut your trap? That's fucking weak. That's fucking weak. That's some weak bullshit, man. That was fucking Bush League. That sucked. My boy is perfect, and you can shove your finery up your ass. Maybe pull your head out while you... This is such shit. This is bad lines. These are bad fucking lines, dude. The patron gaped at me with an utterly scandalized expression. Maybe you shouldn't mess with the rich folks around here. The pufferfish patron with red with fury. She turned toward the front desk, no doubt ready to complain to the restaurant staff. Without thinking, I grabbed the straw from my ridiculous coffee drink and spitballed a piece of caviar with all my strength. Dude, that's assault now. Dude. The wad of caviar sailed across the restaurant with master precision and hucks right into the pufferfish lady's throat. Bullshit. Bullshit! This is such a wank pheasant. You're just jerking yourself off at this point. Sissel stared in shock as the patron fell to the floor, gagging and choking like a flopping, landlocked fish. Oh dear, it seems like the fancy caviar is disagreeing with our dear friend here. Might one of you waiters escort her away to some medical professionals? I realized my attempt at fancy speak must have sounded like shit when Sissel started cackling hysterically. What's with the accent all of a sudden? 'Tis how prim and proper folks speak, is it not? Forgive me, I'm not very fluent in asshole. You sound like you've got a frog stuck in your throat. God damn it! Never mind, she sounds worse. Shouldn't we call for help? It'd be a bummer if you got arrested for murder on our first date. You'd already should get arrested for assault. I guess. Want to grab some more food while we're at it? This caviar is fun, but not really filling. Sounds good. I'm still pretty hungry. I glowered over the pufferfish lady hauntingly as we got up from our table. Being rich has made you weak. John, please stop harassing the rich. This is not, you'd be in a fucking ditch somewhere if this shit happened in real life. No promises. Oh, thank God we're finally out of there. Oh, Jesus. I thought she was about to reprimand me for skipping the scene. Like, you know what you did. The night air outside Very Legal Seafoods wafted over the streets with a comfortable chill. Hallie stood outside the entrance, staring vacantly at the stars as the minutes slowly ticked by. She sighed and took a seat on the sidewalk. There was probably no need to stand watch. The remnant was shredded to pieces yesterday and was unlikely to cause them any trouble tonight. No. Perhaps she just didn't want to sit and watch Ginny and her friends goofing off on their little date. The sight of everyone laughing together. Hallie felt the gears in her mechanical heart grind uncomfortably in her chest. There was a time when she was by Ginny's side like they were, laughing and feeling the bubbly warmth of joy thumbing in her chest. Now there was only a dull metallic chill. Hallie sighed again. One day, this repeating nightmare will end. And her days of joy with Ginny will be reality again. No. A gurgling laugh suddenly cut into the night. I was instantly on her feet and alert. Where? Oh, you have got to be joking. That's cheating. You can just float. You floaty bitch. The disembodied head of the remnant dragged itself down the street towards her. There were still raw tears in its skull, which was barely attached to his neck and stubble of a torso. Still, it cackled maniacally as it dragged itself across the ground with its chin. It's been barely a day. How do you regenerate so quickly? The remnant merely laughed from his pathetic position on the ground. You can't change the events of time that easily. The daffodil will burn, just as before. The night will be cursed hence. This night, shit. There is nothing you can do to change it. You know, I'd be more intimidated if you weren't basically a talking soccer ball crawling on the ground. Silly words won't help you this time. Oh, shit! You just got punted, bitch! Hallie's foot she pulled a Charlie Brown on your ass! Hallie's foot connected with the remnant's face with a satisfying crunch. A small, content smile spread across Hallie's face as she watched its head sail into the night sky, over the distant tree line, and finally out of sight. A few more moments passed before the remnant's screaming abruptly stopped with a soft thud. Hallie dusted herself off and sighed. Ah, finally. Peace and quiet. My. If I didn't know any better, I'd think you got your sense of humor back. That was Ginny. The world seemed to slow to a halt. Hallie turned around to see Ginny stroll out of the restaurant with a wry laugh and a root beer float in hand. Ginny, you can't see me again? Something about dying over and over again really jogs my memory. Ginny shrugged and took a sip of her root beer. Anyway, how are you holding up? Hallie swallowed the lump in her throat and stared at her wisher for several long moments. I'm still here. Still failing. And you're still here too. Hallie buried her face in her hands. She wasn't supposed to be feeling anything, damn it. Jenny sighed and pulled a paper bag out of her jacket. I've got some of that free bread from the restaurant. You want any? Will you please take this seriously? You're going to die again. Hey, it ain't all bad. I got to eat at a 5-star restaurant this time around. Hallie pulled at her hair in frustration. She was always like this, every damn time. Ginny took another sip of her soda and sat down next to Hallie on the sidewalk. Hey, why didn't you do anything to help John in the previous timeline? Addressing the plot holes, addressing the plot holes. Woke Disney does this shit and it's cringy. Hallie growled. You know why. Because you like being uptight. I'm keeping you alive. Every action I take as a wish reduces what little time you have left. I shouldn't have even fought the remnant yesterday. My transformation easily took off a good chunk of your lifespan. If you didn't step in, things would have gone horribly wrong, just like last time. You did the right thing. Even at your expense. Yes. Hallie felt quiet. The night air was heavy and silent while Ginny cheerfully sipped on her soda. So, what are you going to do tonight? The remnant was just here, wasn't he? He said he cursed this night. Something bad's going to happen, isn't it? Yeah. The daffodil will burn. Hallie let out a frustrated sigh. This is why I hate prophecy-type wishes. Once they say something will happen, there's not much I can do to change things. Ginny finished her soda and shrugged. You know what's fun about prophecies? They're like dumb fortune cookies. You can interpret them however you want, and no matter what happens, they'll still somehow make sense. Just set a fucking flower shop on fire. There you go. Prophecy done. Make sure there's a daffodil in there, and hope to God the flower shop owner has some fucking insurance. Even horrible endings can have some upside too, right? Everyone dies at some point, but life's still worth living. She gave Hallie a friendly slap on the back before turning to stroll back inside the restaurant. Try and have some fun with it, will ya? Hallie watched her retreating back until it disappeared into the shining doors of the luxury restaurant. Her gaze rose up to stare at the extravagant facade of very illegal seafoods. Have fun with it, huh? A small idea began forming in her mind. The constant tick, tick, tick inside her chest suddenly sped up, and Hallie almost laughed. She supposed her sense of humor might be coming back after all. Which means what, exactly? At some point, I don't even want to cut this into multiple episodes, because you never fucking know how long the repeat updates are. So if I, cut it here, Lord knows, it would stop in the middle of a fucking scene 2 seconds from now, and I'd be like, fuck! At some point, Sissel and I got separated while perusing the sea of buffets tables again. How do you get separated again? This is how he's gonna wind up in that trunk in Bangladesh. You gotta fucking pay attention to the fucker. Despite my attempt to fully enjoy my night, the longer I stayed at this restaurant, the shittier the place felt. There were ants crawling underneath the tables, the food just looked slightly too old to be healthy, not to mention the overworked waiters with massive eye bags. Poor things. Poor things. Poor things. Speaking of suspicious. Yeah. Yo, John, how's your date going? Ginny and Philip cheerfully shoved their way through the crowd of disgruntled restaurant patrons. Philip does not look cheerful. Minnie shot disgusted looks at the fluffy pigeon perched on Philip's shoulder. Philip nonchalantly flipped them off. Come on. Okay, Philip... What the fuck happened to Philip during this fucking story? He went from kind of punny, kind of quirky, and then all of a sudden he gets revealed as a black cat, and all of a sudden he's just like Stone Cold Steve Austin, just like, fuck you if you think you want to step to me, I got a bird, motherfucker. You ever fuck with someone who got a bird on their shoulder? That's why pirates still happen nowadays. They got birds and shit. Do you want to fuck with a person with a bird? Bitch, I'm a cat who chose to have a bird on his shoulder. You wanna fuck with a man who does that shit? It's just the fucking character dissonance. I don't know what the fuck happened to him, but I think the first part of the story needs to either be amended if this is the way we're going, or some shit. Some tonal consistency would be nice. Hey guys, the date's going. Sissel's so sweet, but everyone at this restaurant's treating him like shit. Plus, this whole place feels just very fishy. Well, yeah, it's a seafood restaurant. There we go. Philip and Jenny instantly exchange high fives. That's fucking just a little bit of the early Philip we came to know, but he didn't say anything. Take, for instance, the moment where Philip, tells Owen to back off because he's been too touchy-feely. I feel like this Philip would have just fucking, beat the shit out of Owen. But that one, standing up for himself when he had previously been kind of meek and agreeable, versus this one, it's the fucking... It's so different. Puns! You've achieved comedy. The BriAnna, Philip's shoulder squawked in disappointment. Well, John's not wrong about the fishy part. Owen and I got bored and started digging up some dirt on this restaurant, because that's what people fucking do when they're bored. Apparently, it's owned by one of the Loreleys, one of Owen's distant layabout cousins. He buys seafood from illegitimate sources for cheap and then pays off the health inspectors when they show up here. Oh, that explains why I found a moth in my salad. It's not even seafood, that's just lettuce! Can't say I'm totally mad, though. I'd be more angry if he wasn't duping all the rich people into paying bank for cheap garbage. Oh, you communist! But then again, it's the Loreleys. No one's probably the only one with semi-functional morals in that mess of a family. Say, you and Owen seem to be getting along real well nowadays. You also seem to be way more expressive than usual. Might have something to do with the sprites? Should I expect to chaperone a date for you two anytime soon? Philip snorted in surprise. Oh, look at that expression. That's not me and Owen. Oh, well, I guess crazier things have happened. Aw, look at him. Nothing's going on between us. I've just been helping him with family stuff lately. We have grown pretty chummy, though. Look at him. Bird! There's Bird! Philip pondered the idea absentmindedly while handing a chunk of crab leg to his pigeon. I watched in fascination as the bird choked it down, shell and all. That's not good. You're killing your bird right there. What was this thing made of? Anyway, enough about Philip. You got any plans for the rest of your date? You two look like you're having fun, but I gotta admit, the mood's been feeling a bit down on Sissel's end. That's because the fucking restaurant's full of garbage people! God, I bet we'd have more fun if the two of us just spent the rest of our day tearing this place down. Philip nodded sagely in agreement. There's nothing quite as cathartic as making rich people uncomfortable. Don't you want to grab some more food while you're here, though? Jenny was interrupted by the sharp wail of an ambulance siren. The three of us stared as the team of EMTs hastily ushered one of the patrons out the door whilst yelling something about food poisoning. On second thought, maybe don't. Yeah. It was starting to rain outside. The sound of heavy raindrops soon filled the restaurant as occasional flashes of thunder flitted across the night sky. The place was starting to feel dreary, and Sissel was still nowhere to be found. What do you mean, nowhere to be found? Why would you leave the fucking buffet tables if... Oh God, it's the sad music. Something happened. After some worried searching, I spotted Sissel standing off in a lonely corner of the restaurant. There he is, okay. He was staring up at the ceiling, completely lost in thought. I anxiously hurried to his side. Hey man, is everything alright? What are you looking at? I followed his gaze and stuttered to a halt. Is that a wasp nest in the ceiling? Are you fucking serious? There was indeed a wasp nest on the ceiling of Very Legal Seafoods, and a surprisingly large one at that. And now that we were further away from the low hum of the buffet tables, I could clearly hear the sharp buzz of angry paper wasps. How did no one at the restaurant notice this? I let out an impressed whistle. Damn, this place is a disaster. Sissel drooped his head almost shamefully. Yeah. Hey, listen. Sorry for how shitty the night's been. What are you talking about? Basically everything. I thought I'd impress you with all this fancy stuff, but all I've done is bring you to a crap restaurant filled with awkward rich people and shitty food. We were gonna have a nice night together, but nothing's been going right. He sighed and slumped down on a nearby chair. I've been wanting to ask you out for a while now, but never really got the confidence. There's just not much impressive about me, you know? Yeah, I won a small culinary contest, big deal. I was too chicken to ask you out like a normal person. I'm too poor to take you to fun places without help. I'll probably never get a big fancy job like these guys. Sissel waved a hand towards the myriad of handsomely dressed men and women in the restaurant. He turned toward me, a mixture of confusion and bitterness swimming across his face. Oh, that had to be the new Sprite. It's so sad. I've got nothing, to be honest. I'm not worth this. What do you even see in me? I stood by Sissel's side and stood in a still silence for several moments. He couldn't meet my gaze, his head slumping and staring at his feet dejectedly. You know, you're probably right. This restaurant's kind of shit. Your clothes are kind of old. And you're probably never going to be rich enough to be my sugar daddy. It, didn't stop me from having fun with you tonight. I've been having a great time. Sissel's ears twitched and he slowly raised his head. I grinned and plopped down on the seat next to him. You know what I like most about you, Sissel? It's not money or fancy food or you winning a big trophy. It's despite life dealing you a bad hand again and again, you still work so damn hard to move forward. It's admirable, really. Sissel opened his mouth in protest, but I quickly booped him on the nose. You keep saying that you're not worth this. But when I see you working so hard to improve your life, caring so much that you'd take me to the fanciest restaurant in the city, and even dressing up at whatever silly thing I suggested to make me laugh, just to make me laugh, I feel like the luckiest guy alive to be by your side, you know? I grasped Sissel's hand and leaned forward, making sure he couldn't look away from me. With a big goofy smile on my face, I pressed our foreheads together with a laugh. You're worth everything to me, Sissel. Don't ever doubt it. Sissel's eyes widened. He stuttered for a moment before smiling at me bashfully. You really mean it? Thanks, John. Honestly, I wanted to say the same thing to you for so long. So much shit has been happening in my life, but you've always been by my side, supporting me. I was always afraid that there was nothing about me worth supporting. But being around you makes me feel braver. He scratched his head and blushed. Yeah, I know that sounded fucking cheesy, but you make me feel braver. Brave enough to just be me. Like someone worth being. He let out a shy laugh. I guess I've been too scared to embrace it until now. He leaned forward and pulled me to a tight, warm hug. We stood there for several long minutes, just embracing each other's presence, wide smiles beaming on our faces. After a moment, Sissel let go and glanced at the clock excitedly. Well, the night's still young. You want to ditch this lame place and go somewhere else? Let's restart this date in a more honest way and do things we both love. I'd love to, but I gave Sissel a sly grin. But first, I want to get kicked out of here in a spectacular fashion. Huh? I pulled out a large chunk of free bread from my pocket while eyeing the Why would you do that? The wasp nest. How good is your throwing arm? Sissel gaped at me in utter disbelief. You're not serious, are you? Dude, listen. Every single goddamn waiter, staff, and customer at this place has been an unspeakable asshole to you, and I've had it. Tonight, Very Legal Seafoods is going down. Sissel glanced between me and the buzzing wasp nest, clearly tempted by the thought of sweet revenge. We're gonna get in so much trouble if we get caught. It'll make one hell of a first date. I feel kind of bad for everyone here, though. He paused, as though replaying all the events of tonight through his head. All the snide remarks, the upturned noses, the pompous sneers. On second thought, this place kind of deserves it. And then Sissel chucked the bread at the ceiling as hard as he could. You should have told Philip, Owen, and Ginny to fucking leave first. Ginny can't move that fast. I don't think this would lead to the downfall of fucking the whole plot, but... Bro. The effect was immediate. The bread roll smacked the hive with an aggressive thwack, smashing it instantly. Bits of hive and a shower the dessert table where several well-dressed customers were poking about. Screams and clouds of angry wasps filled the restaurant as the patrons shrieked and scrambled over each other in panic. There are bees in my hair! They're wasps, you uncultured swine! They apparently couldn't hear me over the ruckus of fleeing customers and clatterings of silverware as half the restaurant's tables were overturned in a customer stampede. Serves them right. I grabbed Sissel's hand, the two of us exchanging mischievous grins as we discreetly scooted toward the exit. I could see Philip, Owen, and Ginny watching us from a distance in disbelief. The three of them quickly scrambled after us toward the exit, narrowly dodging the stampede of screaming and wasp-stung customers. At this point, the dining area was a panic zone of shrieking patrons and scattered food. Several patrons slipped on the food, splattered across the floor, which further fueled the ruckus. Restaurant staff did their best to calm the people down, but to no avail. Those poor fuckers. Like, yeah, the waiters are overworked to fuck, but they were also acting like assholes, so on one hand, I'm like, don't fuck with the employees because of the customers, but at the same time, the employees were being assholes regardless of fucking policy or anything. Like, the people were being assholes, so fuck them, I guess. Sirs, ma'ams, please remain calm. They are just bees. They're quite friendly as long as you don't swat. Wasps. They were wasps. And unlike bees, wasps were infernal creatures who do not understand the concept of mercy. I have a feeling that Shirokoi was stung by a wasp at some point in his life. Any sense of order has collapsed when customers and staff alike shrieked and scrambled toward the exit like headless chickens, while a burst of angry wasps chased after them in hot pursuit. Despite the mayhem, Sissel and I couldn't help but laugh at the once prim and proper guests running for their lives. Speaking of which, we should probably get out of here. We were almost out the door when suddenly an anguished wail echoed through the building. Philip. My daughter! I forgot my daughter! You mean your bird? My daughter! I glanced over my shoulder. Philip's pigeon was still at their table, neck deep in a glass of red wine that was using as a makeshift bird bath. A frantic staff member suddenly stepped on the tablecloth, plunging it down and causing the pigeon to tumble out of its drink with the grace of a wet sponge. Hiccup. Squawk! This bird's not happy. What the fuck is this? Is this Shirakoi's humor? This is Shirokoi just deciding what... Oh, Jesus. The pigeon puffed up with as much indignity a pigeon its size could muster. There it goes. In a drunken rage, it flew over every single dining table in the restaurant and knocked over every candle it could find. Oh no. There was suddenly a light, a wall of flames that spilled over the dining area like the ocean tide. One of the restaurant managers broke down in tears and let out an anguished cry. Satisfied with its work, the pigeon flapped towards the exit and landed boastfully on Philip's shoulder. Oh, thank God you're safe, Holly! Hiccup, squawk. Your bird is a menace. I know, right? Isn't she great? She's probably going to be charged with murder and get thrown in bird jail. Philip shrugged. It's fine. It's starting to rain outside anyway. Nobody's gonna die. I think. Oh, that fucking hurts. At this point, all the restaurant's guests and staff made the smart decision of evacuating the whole building. All that was left was a mass of angry wasps and a sea of fire that spread across what remained of the dining hall. Sissel and I were already outside, staring at our handiwork through the window. This first date went way better than I first thought. I fucking love you, man. Love you too, John. But, the fire's spreading towards the liquor table. Oh, yeah. We should probably move back a bit. Boom. Burn indeed. That night, on our first date, Sissel and I put an end to very legal seafoods. The fire danced against the night sky in a romantic glow as ashes and embers of the ruined restaurant slowly drifted down to earth. Sissel and I fled the building safely along with the rest of the customers, laughing gleefully the entire way. No, it's not suspicious at all. Nothing else in the world seemed to matter anymore. No judgment, no expectations, and especially not that accursed restaurant. It was just the two of us having the time of our lives, committing arson. A clap of thunder shook the air as the rain fell from the sky, soaking the two of us in a wet embrace. My hands were still firmly clasped in Sissel's as I turned to stare at him, my heart skipping a beat. Sissel stared back with a silly grin on his face. Suddenly, he pulled me close to him as he leaned over me, his face soft with a fond look. This is some straight up. This is definitely copyrighted. There's no way in shit that isn't. Yeah, no. I'm sure it's a lovely song, but no, I'm not fucking getting taken down for this shit. Shirokoi, you keep fucking using remixes and other people's shit. I've gotten copyright problems because of you. Motherfucker, you ain't taking me down. Nah. You wanna fucking fight? Bitch? I got grape water. If you want to experience the whole scene as intended, play the game! It's free! Why wouldn't you just play it? So, that was a hell of a first date, huh? I had a blast. Thanks for bringing me out here, sis. Of course. I'm always happy to be having a fucking stroke. I'm always happy to be with you, John. Sissel let out a shy laugh before leaning closer to me. But you know, there's still a little something we can do to make it even more romantic. And a little something I still need to say to you. Smooth. I think I know what you're getting at. I chuckled and pulled Sissel a little closer. The two of us simply stared at each other for a solid minute, too shy to make the first move. There was a long pause before Sissel laughed and finally pulled me closer to his chest. Hey, John. I love you. Oh, look at her! Yay! It's so happy! My fat arms just flopping about. I don't care. I'm happy. Sissel blushed a bright pink before leaning forward and planting a light kiss on my lips as very legal seafood burned to the ground behind us. So romance! Much romantic! I leaned into his kiss, blind to the embers and rain that fell from the sky around us, focusing only on the wonderful man in front of me. This was truly the most beautiful night, fire and all. And the fan kicked in because the sound of this episode wasn't shit enough. Fuck my life! The two of us broke out of our kiss, breathlessly staring at each other before breaking out in hearty laughter. That felt really nice. You're too darn cute. There they are. Meanwhile, Ginny, Philip, and Owen watched us from a distance, a satisfied smile settling across their faces. Look at the two of them. Looks like Sissel's finally starting to grow a healthier sense of self-worth. And something else, all thanks to John. Overall, I'd say we chaperones did a pretty good job tonight. Ginny, everything's on fire. It's a restaurant owned by my family. The damn thing deserves to go down. Plus, nobody died. That's a pretty good, strong positive. Fine. I guess the night went pretty well, all things considered. I don't think I've ever seen Sissel or John so happy before. Philip glanced at me and Sissel in the distance with a smile before pulling Ginny and Owen away. Let's leave those two lovebirds alone for now. They deserve their privacy. I wasn't sure how long Sissel and I stood together, simply melting into each other's embrace. All I knew was that he felt warm and safe, and everything felt right. Sissel laughed and pulled me into a closer hug, nuzzling my neck fondly. So, we didn't actually eat much during that date, did we? Want to drop by the cafe and grab a bite to eat? And then maybe we can do some more fun stuff together? I grinned and gave Sissel a light peck on the cheek. We both blushed and laughed. That sounds like a great way to end the night. Lead the way, sis. We got ourselves a slow fade out, and a slow fade in. I guess this update is going forever.